Somehow you feel like there's traffic all around you, but you're still white knuckling the steering wheel, like your whole car is going to come apart at any moment.
It's the whole reason I switched to an SUV. Hey, it's Matt and Brian back with another episode of Undoubtedly Dallas. We're going to talk about stuff.
I really want to look a lot better for these videos.
Yeah.
We're sitting in the ice box again today. You guys don't know this, but our office air conditioning is broken and it's stuck on like 42 degrees.
It's freezing.
It's so bad.
And the ridiculous thing about it is, part of what we're going to talk about in this video is the weather outside, which is still like 87 degrees.
Yeah, it's pushing 90 today again still, and I'm like huddled up in this jacket here like an idiot in the middle of Texas. And this has been an ongoing battle for, I want to say, it seems like about 6 or 7 years now we've been fighting this battle with this AC. And
It'll never go away. It'll never go away.
But speaking of Texas, we're going to talk pros and cons, not Texas, Dallas specifically. Dallas-Fort Worth.
Sure.
Who knows how we're going to title this video, SEO and tags and all that.
Right,
but
right.
If you're from out of town, Dallas is not really just Dallas. Dallas is the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex. But when we talk Dallas, we always are talking Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex, surrounding suburbs, all that type of stuff. There's a lot of awesome reasons to live here, things to do here, just a cool lifestyle that we're all about. There's some cons too. We wanted to make an honest video about it.
Yeah.
We don't want to be just Dallas homers just because it's where we live. So let's get into it. What are your top? Let's start with pros. Let's start with the good news first.
I have
what are
so
your
many
top
more
pros
so many
for
more
Dallas?
pros than cons, honestly.
Sure.
Because there's reasons that Dallas is annoying.
Sure.
But there's no real reason to not live here. I'll say that at the beginning of it.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think we go overboard on the negatives. So I'll start with a con. Things are very spread out and you got to drive everywhere.
Everywhere. And
right?
traffic is a next level nightmare.
Brutal. But at the same time, you go to another, like New York or LA, they would laugh at our amount of traffic.
Oh, for sure.
Nothing compared to theirs.
Here's where I think our traffic gets a little crazy compared to other places. There is traffic, and there's cars everywhere, but you're doing 80 miles an hour.
That's the thing.
It's scary traffic.
When you're in LA gridlock, you can get out of your car and like go grab Starbucks and come back and you won't have moved. Our traffic, you're still pushing 90 miles an hour. Somehow you feel like there's traffic all around you, but you're still white knuckling the steering wheel, like your whole car is going to come apart at any moment.
It's the whole reason I switched to an SUV. I couldn't stand driving a car that was so low to the ground. I couldn't see anything that was going on. I felt too closed in all the time.
I get bullied around so bad.
I know.
When I drive my wife's pickup truck, bro, I'm a master of my domain.
One of those you spend New York and LA, and I don't know much about LA, but obviously New York, but their public transit is I would say from a con standpoint, if you are the type of person, to what Brian said about being spread out is true, it also kind of murders the public transit here too.
Yep.
Nobody takes the bus unless they can get away, unless they absolutely have to.
Yes.
And nobody really takes the rail system unless it's just kind of convenient. I know people live in Plano who take the rail downtown.
It's funny because the rail system here, it's very efficient in places like New York, but people aren't happy about taking it usually. People take the rail system here for fun.
Oh, yeah.
I sometimes on the weekends, like a little, with the wife.
Every year.
Take a little train ride
That's what I
downtown
do.
and walk around. It's very liberating.
It is.
I don't have to worry about the car. It's really nice. So it's very clean. It is efficient, I guess, is people just don't use it a lot because things are so spread out. It's easier to drive.
It is, and I think at the end of the day, if especially specifically in our jobs, like I just couldn't take it because I need access to my automobile all the time.
100%.
But I drive probably 30,000 miles a year, and most of it is up and down the tollway in 75.
Sure. The train system here doesn't go as many places as you need it to. That's why people prefer their cars. But it's very cool. So if you have a predetermined destination and the train goes there, give it a shot.
Then it's cool.
Yeah.
The other part of traffic that really bites is the toll system. The North Dallas Tollway is full of traffic, very curvy, and you get to pay like $5 to drive on it.
So that is a con.
Yeah, that's definitely not fun.
I don't know if anybody from the NTTA is watching this video, but if they are, I'm going to have to blur my face out here and go into the witness protection program because I'm going to tell you I still owe them some money. But it can. All right, here's the deal. You will be flying down the toll roads, and so it's incredibly efficient as far as like getting places because people in Texas drive like maniacs. And like, dude, I literally was trying to leave and go to Austin a few weeks ago, and I got just south of the city when things really open up on 35, and people were mean mugging the hell out of me as they were passing me, and I was going like 88.
That is actually shocking for you because you are a very conservative driver.
It was out of pure fear. I didn't want to get rear-ended, so I had to pick it up. And I was in the right lane.
If you ever end up watching this video and then you come to Texas and talk to Brian and I, you will very quickly realize if you get in a car with us, there are two distinct personalities when driving. Brian is like respectful. He's talking to the person with him. Brian will get there as we get there.
Driving's an experience for me.
Matt is racing the GPS every time. I'm like, you said 5:02? I bet you I can get there by 4:59 everywhere.
That's so true. But so yeah, you're going to pay a little bit in tolls. I do probably pay... With us, especially our jobs, we drive a lot. I probably pay $120 a month.
Yeah, they usually
not everybody does that, but us.
They hit me a couple of times every time.
I'll be honest though, I don't really have a lot of cons besides that.
No, the only other one that I think is originally being a Midwest kid is I miss seasons. It's hot for 10 months, and then it's cold for 2, and then it goes back to being hot again.
It goes back to being hot again. Like other people's seasons, they last an entire season. Our season might just last an afternoon.
Yeah, the trees aren't going to turn. They're going to go from green just to leaves all over the ground.
You may get to experience some semblance of every season, but it might all happen in a short 4-hour span. Brian, and then you're going to go back to burning up.
Yeah. Brian and I typically bail around October and go somewhere north
100%.
Just to see orange, red, and yellow leaves.
Seriously, man. We went to Vermont last year. Yeah. It was beautiful.
It was wonderful.
Leave.
It was wonderful.
So that's it. But here's the thing. Getting into the cons, getting into the pros, everything, right? It's funny because Dallas is being such a relocation hub now for so many people from California and New York and things like that. I think people are surprised that literally everything that we have here, and it's probably better in a lot of ways, right? Like I was having a conversation with somebody the other day. I can't remember. They're like, "Have you ever tried Nobu?" I was like, "Yeah, there's one down the street."
Yeah,
like we have that here.
That is my number. That is my number one pro, right? We'll get into some other ones I think logistically works, but man, you and I, for our love of dining out, the sheer volume of restaurants and little mom and pops places, like you will never go back to the same restaurant if you don't want to, or you can go to the same restaurant every single day if you want. It doesn't matter.
And it's a great one of the things that you don't get in a lot of other metropolitan areas. It's a really, really great mix of commercial places and intimate places, right? Like we have literally every major thing you've ever heard of. We have probably 4 of them here. One's in Plano, one's in Dallas, one's in Fort Worth, and then one somewhere else, right?
Yep.
But then you can also go into a candy shop and go into the back room and there's a speakeasy back there, right? That's really something that used to be just native to like New York and LA.
Yeah.
And so that's like we have the best of both worlds, and I don't think either New York or LA can compete with us on a dining scale in any way.
From a sheer volume standpoint, I would say for sure, I bet you New York has some places that we don't even touch here from a 5-star level.
Sure, maybe from like an experience.
Because of the views that you can get and things like that. Because when you talk about New York and LA, those are some of the things that we don't have. There's no mountains and no oceans.
Right.
Beautiful, tons of trees. Like it's not that it's ugly. It's just it's relatively flat, hilly a little bit, so the views aren't amazing. But man, the amount of restaurants that you can go to and the amount of chefs that are on TV shows and these content, I don't watch any of those things, but the people who are, like, they come here and they open restaurants and they work there.
That's 100%. This is not like some second or third destination. Like people come here to it is a dining hub.
Yeah,
here in America now, and I think that's cool. The other cool thing about it is it's all really, really accessible. If you want to talk about just kind of infrastructure and things like that, more people, and of course in Manhattan and things like that might be a little bit different, but even just getting into Manhattan or getting into LA from the outlying areas can be a little bit of a beating. Here, our infrastructure is so good, hardly anyone, I shouldn't say hardly anyone, but a lot of people, they don't live in Dallas, and like we're in Dallas right now, and I don't live here, but I live across the street in a different place. But here's the deal. If we wanted to go have sushi downtown right now, we'd find a $2 parking spot in 2 minutes.
Absolutely.
And it would be no problem. If you try to go eat in the middle of Midtown Manhattan at 12:04 on a Tuesday afternoon, you got to do one of those lifted elevator parking things, like, because you can't fit anything there. So accessible. You get to really enjoy things in a really stress-free way. because there's not like a whole thing that goes into going downtown.
No.
Like, it's such an endeavor in some places, and here it's real easy.
I think one of those things that translates to that is one of my favorite things to do is you can brunch here Monday through Sunday. Look, and I'm just gonna be super candid. You want to catch a wine buzz at 1:30 on a Thursday, and nobody gonna look at you sideways. You can brunch wherever you want, and dog friendliness.
Yes.
You can take your dogs on so many patios.
Yes.
There's so many dog parks. Mutts downtown or an uptown or whatever is amazing. There's stuff like that everywhere.
Literally places made in the middle of downtown
to drink and walk your dog.
To drink and take your dogs and let them eat and run around and have fun. It's like a 2
It's a whole community.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And there's several places like that. The dog friendliness is a big thing. We're huge animal lovers in Texas, and we really have worked the city to be a part of that.
And if you hate dogs, here's the other thing. A lot of these places, even if you don't want them there, they've set it up in a way where like the dog's just laying on the patio drinking water. Like it's not even like it's really inconvenience to like your life. So like I think it's cool.
Yeah.
There's nothing, especially at my age now, there's nothing I love more than like going out and enjoying just brunch on a Saturday or Sunday when you have nothing else to do.
100%
favorite thing to do.
Dude. I think the other big thing, and this is something that's really taken shape. I mean, it's always been there, but it's taken shape over the last 15 years or so. The real diversity of neighborhoods has, like, a lot of neighborhoods have really come into their own. Like, there were parts of East Dallas for a long time that all just sort of bled together, and they didn't have any feel or life to them in the sense they didn't have their own distinct identity, right? Now you go to Lois Greenville and then you go a few blocks over and it's two different worlds.
Yep.
And they've really taken shape in that way. So like whatever you're looking for, you don't have to work too hard to seek it out anymore. You kind of know what every neighborhood is about now, and that's really cool.
I think one of the coolest things about specifically that area that you're talking about, or some of the areas where we bleed together, right? You get up to Plano, it's pretty cut and dry what it is, right?
Sure.
They had time to develop that. It was all built around the same time, whereas Dallas has been pieced together since the 20s and then really exploded the 50s and 60s. But so many of those places have done a really good job, and the residents more so have done a really good job of just embracing that change from one block to the next, almost to the point where the neighborhood, they're separate, but the people who live in each neighborhood, they'll move back and forth. And we're not even talking about like economically diverse. There's just different stuff going on.
Different styles, different things, different stuff you like, and 100%. It's not a class thing. It's just different strokes for different folks. But you're right. People love living in that. Like mostly, the area is right east of 75, south of Mockingbird. Right. People love living over there because it's like 8 or 9 different little worlds, and you can travel around, and it's a whole different thing. It's pretty cool.
I think the travel part of it is too, and maybe this is something I've never really looked into, but I think we have such a diverse community in North Texas in general, just as far as people coming from everywhere. Because one of the other best things about living here is air travel. If you want to talk about being able to hop on a plane and one-way flight to pretty much anywhere on the planet, you can do it at a DFW. DFW is a massive airport that flies everywhere except for Burlington to Vermont nonstop, apparently. Right? But other than your tiny little towns, you can go anywhere. I flew from Dallas to Madrid nonstop.
Really?
Right? Didn't have to stop in New York, nothing.
That's crazy.
You can't get that in a lot of hubs. And it's because we have so many businesses that hub out of here that it makes the income really, or the economy really strong here. And there's a lot of need for travel in and out. So we have 2 major airports that do a great job of servicing the whole area too.
And they're just set up well with the city, and that's another like.
Don't check your bags at Love Field. That's the only thing that sucks. Is the baggage check at Love Field takes forever.
But at DFW though, man, it's for being an international hub. It can be such a beating in other areas to get to and from the airport. It's a whole thing. You got to leave for your flight 4 hours ahead of time to make sure that you can be in and out of DFW International so clean, bro.
The reason all the convenience exists between Dallas and Fort Worth, and I think this is a lot of people who live in a lot of these cities, right? They don't really understand exactly, and I don't think I understood this, that most big cities aren't set up like this, where there's 2 massive cities right next to each other, right? It's normally one huge one and then all these suburbs, right? There's probably a few instances of it I don't really know about. But the reality is, DFW filled in the middle.
Yep.
The reason there is anything between Dallas and Fort Worth, and trust me, there is a freaking ton, is because if you look at it on a map, there's also another little city right in between them. It's DFW Airport.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a massive area.
Bigger than Manhattan.
It is. It grew up completely, and all these towns have grown up around it to service ultimately the airport and the people who need to live close to it. And now the infrastructure is really filled in the past 50 years to now where there's major highways. You can just zip right across to Fort Worth, other than the fact that it's just far.
Yep.
It doesn't take any time.
No, but yeah, the infrastructure, it's easy, right?
Yeah.
It's super simple. So
there's so much to do here too, man.
there is, dude. You'll just never get bored in this area, man. And it's just it's every time I turn around, there's something just new and awesome, right? And it's even, I mean, we're talking like up to, you know, and this is diving in a little bit into our personal taste, but like you went to a Bone Thugs and Harmony concert in the Colony, Texas last month or 2 months ago, right?
It was so much fun.
Where it's like we're just becoming a destination for so many things, man. PGA headquarters is opening in Frisco. TPC Craig Ranch, they're going to have majors there. Like, it's really, really crazy how much stuff is being attracted to this area.
Well, between Jerry World in Arlington and the new Globe Life Stadium that just opened, of course, we're filming this during lockdown stuff, so there's not a lot of those things going on. But
we might get the World Series.
We might, right? Massive venues for anybody to come in and do anything, right? Not including just cool stuff. Like, I'm still enthralled by Clyde Warren Park. Just this park that's over one of the crappiest highways on the planet. I hate the intersection of 35 and 30 so much. I hate it so much, right? But they built this big, massive park on top of it, and food trucks show up, and there's restaurants lining the other side. It's awesome.
Food trucks show up, restaurants everywhere. They put a big old movie screen out on the lawn in the summer and show summer movies. Like, I just can't think of very many other major metropolitan areas on earth where they have the space to do a lot of that stuff, and they make it work here, and it's so crazy.
Being spread out, I think, helps with some things, and it sucks with other things.
It sucks with other things. You got to drive to all the stuff, but it just gives you more stuff.
Look, I mean, this is a Dallas video, but even the Kimball Art Museum in Fort Worth it's a world-renowned art museum that's in Fort Worth, freaking Texas. Right? Like, 100%. I don't know how it ended up there. I don't know any of the history of it, but I know it's awesome.
I know it's there, and I've been there once, and it was super cool.
Yeah, exactly. I feel very blessed to live in a place that I do feel like is really diverse. Right? Yeah. We're in the South, so I think people would think it's one type of way. Dallas is in the surrounding area. It's an incredibly diverse area that you and I have an opportunity to represent a lot of people who are moving here from other states. So we get to see why people are moving here, and then follow up with them over time and see how much they like it. And that's been a really unique thing. They're moving here for job opportunity.
Right.
The cost of living, I checked it out before we did this video. It's around $59,000, which I don't know if that's high or not compared to the rest of the planet, but
I would say try to live on that in a lot of other places. You won't get too far. Here, your dollar goes a
I feel like
way.
You could live just fine in Dallas or the surrounding suburbs, own a nice house, have an enjoyable time. If you're, the demographics of the 4-person family, right? 2 income earners, 2 kid type of thing. Right. Like, you're going to like living here. I've been back here since 2003, and I love it.
Yeah, 100%, man. I love it too, and I always dream because we're world travelers, you and I, a little bit. But man, there's nothing like coming back home.
You said something perfect a while back when we were just like mapping out like our whole goal thing, and you were like, this idea that I just want to travel every second of every day actually would be annoying. I wouldn't want to do that.
You're beating after a while. I spent so much time in airports and trains.
It would be the worst. I want to work for 2.5 months. I want to work for 10 weeks, and then I want to take 2 weeks off. Yes. That's all perfect. That's all I need, and then I'll come right back to my Dallas house and just be fine.
Well, guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Let us know what else you want us to talk about Dallas-wise. We're talking about all things Dallas on Undoubtedly Dallas here. Appreciate you guys watching with us and hanging out.
Yeah, make sure to come back next week. We'll put another video up that'll be about other things.
Something
Something
really cool.
Talk to you later.